Daniel Goldberg, a partner at Addison's, joins us to discuss equity crowdfunding. Daniel, an equity crowdfunding regime could be the first recommendation of the Financial System Inquiry adopted by the government. Why is an equity crowdfunding regime so important?
Kate, there are two reasons essentially why implementing an equity crowdfunding regime is so important for Australia right now. First of all, it provides the opportunity to give startups and small businesses a relatively easy and affordable access to capital, a way to raise capital. The government's often spoken of its commitment to innovation and to small business, most recently in its innovation and competitiveness agenda, and implementing an equity crowdfunding platform is a key plank in implementing that policy agenda. The second reason it's so important is more a defensive one. Quite simply, if we don't act now, we'll be left even further behind. So already we've seen the US, the UK, Singapore, New Zealand and other offshore jurisdictions implementing crowdfunding regimes or saying that they're going to imminently. Just last week, the SEC in the US released their long-awaited and very detailed rules for how their regime is going to work. There's a New Zealand-based crowdfunding platform that's licensed in New Zealand, which is specifically targeting Australian businesses and startups to use their platform. So if we don't do something soon, we will be left behind, and we've got the opportunity to do something now if we want to be a financial hub for innovation.
Absolutely. Well, what are the regulatory options being considered by government?
The government's had the benefit, I suppose, of being able to see what's being done offshore and to pick the elements of that, and it's taken a very considered and consultative approach in coming up with a regime. So it really sort of started in 2013 with the Corporation and Markets Advisory Committee's report. They conducted a wide review and came up with a package of suggested reforms. Since then, although CAMAC itself has been abolished, Federal Treasury has been running with it, and they've run a broad industry consultation process and really looked at a lot of the different options. So while not all of the recommendations that CAMAC put forward have been well received by industry, many others have. So, for example, the idea of licensing the crowdfunding platforms, of coming up with a template disclosure document to ensure that the disclosure is sort of standardised and sufficient. So I think we will see those sorts of elements come through in whatever package is put forward. The government, I think, is to be commended for the broad sort of consultation it's taken on with this, and we're hopeful now, and indications are that there will be a bill before the spring sitting of Parliament this year. So we're confident and hopeful that soon we will have something and really be able to encourage entrepreneurship and innovation in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kate.